Greetings, YouTube! Welcome back to the channel for our third episode in a growing series of interest and, dare I say, even popularity on this channel, where we take somebody who's a member of our great community and get to know them a little bit better. Now, the first two episodes were with great guys. Kabam Broccoli, a game designer, former game designer, I should say, sadly, and the Waffler, a big whale and even greater dude. As great as those guys are, I had never spoken to them before the interview. I had never met them. That is not the case with our next interview subject. I think I'm most excited about this interview because, with all due respect to the first two, I just have become such good friends with her that even though I'm going to put my journalist hat on and ask tough questions, it's just nice to have a rapport with someone. So, Katy Candy, welcome, and thank you for giving us your time.
Thanks for having me, Prop.
And on the offset, I will say, I thought we would start this interview by being like, sorry about your Steelers this season. Y'all, so much has changed today. They had like a 2% chance to make the NFL playoffs. Those of you across the pond or even in the States may not care. But it looks like unless the Chargers and Raiders tie, which we are recording this before that game starts, you will be in the playoffs. What are you going to do if they tie, though? Are you going to just get super upset if they intentionally tie the game so your Steelers are out of the playoffs?
I mean, if they intentionally tie for the Steelers to be out of the playoffs, I'd be like, that's some shady stuff right there.
That's a total Kabam move.
Yeah, the Steelers got kabam.
They got scammed and kabammed. Shout out to so many of you who wrote in questions. We had over 100 questions submitted for this, which is incredible. And some of you chose to write multiple questions in the same post. So it's actually well over that number. And so I always like to ask the biggest liked question first. In this case, by far, Joshua Collins posted it. So, Katy, first question. What was your favorite era of the game? And in parentheses, what was the span of time that you enjoyed playing the game the most?
Let's see. My favorite time, honestly, was spent, this is going to sound crazy, but it was in the beginning, but not pre-12.0. It was after 12.0, which is, I know, probably like shocking, but kind of in that beginning stages, because it was at the point where there wasn't a big gap between the free-to-play and the pay-to-win, right? Act 5, the only way you could get a rank 5 champion was for completing Act 5. And that was, for me, like the best time because you didn't see that big gap between the two sets of players.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point. And that was before 6 stars were really in the game. That was before featured calves were in the game. That was before the featured 6-star crystal had changed. I would say that's probably the golden era of MCOC in general, and their pocketbooks, who knows, maybe reflect that, maybe not. So this next question was asked, like 7 or 8 people asked a different version of it, but the Prodigy asked it in the most popular way. Because if you're not familiar, Katy Candy made multiple videos on her channel that were essentially announcements that she was taking a step back from the game, from YouTube, that she was still going to play casually, but like the definition of retired, essentially. And so the Prodigy asks, is this really the end for you in MCOC, or do you think you'll make a comeback, assuming more content brings the game back to being more fun, like strikers, diverse champions? Basically, a bunch of people asked, is there anything that Kabam could do to change your mind about what you've decided?
Honestly, I don't know. And I'm not 100% sure because at the rate the game is going, it's just, for me, it's not fun. So, I gave up on chasing that carrot a long time ago. Mm-hmm. And so I really don't think that there is anything that could bring me back to this game where I would complete content, where I would grind arena, where I would, be active in an alliance, where I would want to do any of that sort, because it's not really, this is unfortunate to say, but I'm going to say it, I don't view it as a game anymore. It's basically just a bunch of digital transactions, which is really unfortunate because when it started out, it was a great game and it's one of its kind. There's no other game essentially like it if you think about it. So the fact that it came to this is it's really sad. I don't like the direction that the game is going. So unless they somehow turn it around and maybe listen to the player base more, then maybe potentially, but I highly, highly doubt it.
So in the spirit of that, let's play a little game. If you were Kabam's CEO for a day, how would you turn around the sinking Titanic ship?
I don't even know, because there's no real good starting point, because like I feel like they're in so deep. You know what I mean? So to me, like, they're in so deep and they made so much money off of gifting that, you know, I don't really know if there's any way to go back.
So then would you agree with the general consensus that the gifting event and the chasm that it caused from rank rewards and just the crystals in general is too much to go back? It's a point where you can't turn back now?
Yeah, and here's the thing, too, is I've never been a fan of gifting. I always thought that gifting events like that, they should have always dealt away with them, because they always have a tendency to bring out the most toxic aspects of the community. And it's just bad. And, like, it really separates the gap, because you could get a rank 4 from that. And it's like, if you spent enough or you welled out enough, and that's really unfortunate, because like a game shouldn't be like that. Like, should they have given it maybe a little bit of an edge? Sure. But that much of an edge, that's too much.
Well, for those of you that are just playing in the last couple of years, the first 2 years we played, there was no July 4th sales. There was no Cyber Weekend sales.
Yep.
The gifting event was very, very tame, because everybody had a gifting badge all year round. That wasn't some special thing. And so, yeah, and of course, now this was before the company changed hands, or the game changed hands of companies, I should say. But that was also the era where if the game went down for 30 seconds, you were guaranteed to have an apology compensation package in your in-game inbox when you log back in. So that's just how much has changed in the past 5 years. So,
well, and the original gifting badge was great, right? Because when I did my Legends run, that was when we still had the gifting badge. And I had my Alliance mates gift me a bunch of energy refills, and I just sent them back to them after the Legends run. So it was like a great thing to have if you were in a bind, right? You could, have your Alliance mates send you that, send you revives, send you pots, that sort of thing. So that was a really good thing to have in the game. And then they took it away and brought it back as this gifting event. And so that's another reason that I'm not the biggest fan of them.
Yeah, that's a great point. So for one of our most popular questions, I'm going to throw you what sounds like a softball, but emotionally it's probably not. Your boy, Simula67. And you can hear that laugh. She knows something's coming. If you had to choose between either watching the Pittsburgh Penguins or Pittsburgh Steelers for the rest of your life and could never watch the other team again, what team would you go with?
First off, Simula, why are you like this?
Starting out. You know what? She's starting out with some shades, so I gotta change the glasses. That's a shady question.
And this one's tough, but because I was born and raised in Pittsburgh. I've been to Steeler games. I've been to Pens games. Fans of them for all of my life, and I'm gonna have to go with the Pens.
Okay, so it doesn't depends.
It doesn't. No.
That's fascinating. So the next two top comments we're going to cover. One, by the way, Katie did look over some of your questions beforehand, and we haven't talked about this, but there were so many people that instead of just questions, they just commented how much they appreciated you, which is amazing in the age of the internet that people can do that, right?
It's amazing, and thank you guys so much. You guys are great. I can't even begin to describe it.
So Sean Mitchell posted this comment. He says, I think I'd just like to thank her for entertaining and guiding us through content. Her act tutorials, how to use champions in 6 minutes or less series, her champion spotlight breakdowns, as well as so much other content, gave us developing summoners a chance to grow. He recommends all of that content to players that he has brought to the game. And he also says that you are an awesome YouTuber, and he hopes one day that you can come back to the game. So there were just comments like that sprinkled all over the place, and they were liked by a bunch of people who felt the same way. Similarly to that, Theo Chapman has 3 different questions, and the first one, to piggyback off of those positive emotions, what is your proudest achievement in MCOC?
My proudest achievement in MCOC. Let's see. You know, I would say, like, I feel like the appropriate answer would be like 100%ing Act 6, or, you know, doing the Abyss, or doing the Gauntlet, or, you know, LOL, or something along those lines. But I feel like those are so cliche answers, and they are achievements. Don't get me wrong. Those are. Abyss is a nightmare sometimes. But honestly, like, I just think it was meeting some of the people that I met in this community, like Prof, and being able to branch out into like other aspects. Like, we have on the weekends, I have a standing co-op game night with the Mandalorian, and we start a different game and we play it until we're finished, and it's so much fun. So honestly, I think that's my greatest achievement, is just, I don't know, making friends. That sounds so lame, but you know what? It's what I'm going with.
Well, you know, what's fascinating, though, about that answer is that the first 2 interviews with Broccoli and Waffler, they both said similar things at some point about the community aspect of why they play. So it really is a theme for all of us, and I think that's really special. That community is also pandemic-proof, I should say, right? Like, we can do that regardless of virus restrictions, and that's also pretty amazing. So the second question from Theo is, in terms of excitement, now keep in mind, this could be a 4-star back in the day, right? What did you get most excited about in terms of a pool that you had?
Most excited about, I'm fairly certain, was when I pulled 6-star Aegon.
Oh, and what crystal was that? A regular 6-star basic?
I think so. And then, actually, I take that back. Most excited was when I duped 6-star Aegon. That's what it was. It was right after I did the Abyss with my 5-star, and the first crystal I opened was a 6-star Cyclops. And I was like heartbroken, right? Because you're just like, you do all that work, and then you're like, really? And then I opened the other crystal, and I there's a clip of it actually on Twitch. And I remember I had Dreamin34 and Metaphor on Skype with me at the time, and you just hear Meta clapping in the background. It was great, because I had not expected to. I actually had an awakening gem that I was thinking about using on him, and then I duped him, so I didn't have to.
Gosh, that is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, shout out to Katy. My answer would probably be in terms of video excitement when I finally landed Stark Spidey, and it was because of her, because she made me dance. If you've missed the video, it's still on my channel. She made me dance, and then she did something truly amazing. She got all of the hunts together and put them on an edited video, which was a very kind gesture. So thank you again for that.
You're welcome.
So, Katy, another amount of flowers, as the kids say. Cam MCOC says, no question for me. Just wanted you to know that they'll miss her and your MCOC content, that you are an always amazing voice for the community, for your channel, for the CCP, and that Cam wishes you best of luck on all your future endeavors. So
I love Cam. Cam he's a member of the CCP, and he has some amazing champion breakdowns, like new champs pros and cons lists. They are so good. And of course, he's my LaCroix drinking buddy.
Well, shout out to Cam. Go check out Cam MCOC's channel.
He live streams too on YouTube. He puts out a bunch of great stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna miss Cam.
Well, Cam, there are your flowers as well, good sir. Okay, so the most average wants to know, What did you love about being a voice in the community the most?
Um, I think what it was like people could say things that maybe they thought they weren't getting heard, right? So the fact that, because I always wanted to be the voice of like the low level and the mid level players, because I feel like they kind of get the short end of the stick or the straw, whatever it's called.
We'll go with
so
both.
Bad at analogies.
Stick and straws, whatever.
Whatever, right? Same thing, sort of. But I feel like a lot of times they get kind of overlooked and overshadowed by the end game players. And so I always want to try to like stick up for them and do what's right for them, because I may be or may have been a throne breaker player, but listen, we all know I'm the most okayest MCOC player. Like, I never said I'm the best or I'm the greatest. So, I like to kind of help out as much as I can for the people who may not have the biggest voice in the community.
Well said. By the way, Katie and I have bonded over how much we suck at the game. And that is why we almost nicknamed, when we did a couple of Incursion tournaments, our team name Bye Week, because it was like you're getting bye week. But we made it to the semifinals one time, and I feel like that should get its own movie. Like, that's
no one expected us to either, which was amazing.
We did not expect it. No, we thought we were basically being punked, but apparently we made it to the semis. So that's pretty amazing. The second question from the most average, and you might have already named this or talked about it with the Cyclops, but maybe not. What is your biggest MCOC heartbreak?
My biggest MCOC heartbreak. Okay, I know this one. So, back before 6-stars, there were no 6-star featured crystals, right? 5-star features were still a big thing. And I saved up so many crystals for Thing when Thing was in the featured, and every time I opened them, I never could pull Thing. I had a thing for the Thing, but apparently the Thing did not have a thing for me. It was just like crystal after crystal after crystal, heartbreak, heartbreak, heartbreak. I wanted Things so bad, and I could just, this is going to be such an internet phrase, but I don't know any other way to say it.
Go for it.
I just couldn't pull the Thing.
No matter how long the hunt was.
Exactly. So, no, actually, I take that back.
By the way, you know that MCOC is full of trauma when she keeps getting memories about heartbreaks that flood her brain as she talks about it.
I know. Wait, because I just thought of the worst one. I just thought of the worst one. So, back when the arenas were still top 150 for 5-stars, 6-star arena didn't exist yet. And I did the grind for Aegon to dupe my 5-star Aegon. And I placed 154.
Oh.
And like, I didn't even know what I placed yet until people started sending me messages of sad faces. And I was like, oh no.
That's how you found out? Somehow people had looked at your name and, oh wow.
Yeah. And I was like, no way. And I missed him by like 500,000 points.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was my fault too, because I stopped before. So the arena ended for me at 1 p.m. on Sunday. And I stopped like 15 minutes early because I thought I was safe. So that's why, kiddos, is if you're ever grinding for a champion, even if you think you're safe, never stop. Go till the end.
Also, both an internet phrase and a life lesson about many things. So, Katie, before we recorded this, agreed for no question to be off limits. And if you've watched these interviews, the goal is to both give softball questions, lighthearted questions, but also get some pretty serious topics. And Allison Edits, who I believe is a fellow female, I should say, in the community, has asked you a pretty serious one because she wants to know what your perspective is as a girl player and the highs and lows of how people have treated you as a female.
So I I actually got kicked out of an alliance.
What?
Yeah. Because the leader found out that this was way, way back when. The leader I said that I was a girl, and I got kicked out.
Was the assumption that you just couldn't be good at the game because you were a female?
Yeah, but it wasn't until I said that. So I was like, I guess it was just an all boys club in that alliance. That was so long ago, though. But people will say that I don't know things. They'll call me a bimbo. And I don't know, maybe it's because of the way I talk. I do sometimes sound like a valley girl. But whatever. I spent a lot of time. I know my champions, or I knew my champions, I guess I should say. No, I still know them. But you have people that do respect you. It's just like anywhere else, right? You have people who respect you and don't look at you any different, and then you have people that do look at you different. So you just kind of take it like I take it just like any other place, right? Whether it be a job or whatever, is the haters are gonna hate, and you know what? Their hatred fuels me. So bring it.
So what would your advice to fellow female players or content creators be if they're encountering that? Or also the flip side, which you haven't touched on yet, but as a female in a predominantly male sphere, you get some creeps, right? You get some creeped on.
Yeah, it's not as bad as probably what a lot of people would think, but I never tried to what you would see in my videos or me live streaming is me. I never try to be anything different. So I'm not gonna be dressed up in, something scandalous or whatever. So, but the best advice that I can give to any female streamer or content creator is to just be you. And if you're feeling like, it's getting tough, or you feel like people are saying some stuff to you, talk to someone about it. Talk to another female streamer or someone that you trust, and just let stuff roll off your back. That's honestly the best advice that I can give any content creator, whether they be male, female, whatever, is just let stuff roll off your back. Don't take anything to heart, because all that does is it feeds the trolls. And listen, we want to keep the trolls under the bridge where they belong, right? So just let stuff go. Don't feed into it. Don't feed them. Just let it go, joke about it, whatever. That's what I always had a tendency to do. It's a good way to shut it down.
Amen to that. Amen to that. So James Hickling has a great question. A little more lighthearted than that last one, but it also means you're going to have to remember this, so you may not have an answer for this. But he wants to know, in your highest intoxicated states, while playing the game, what were your best and worst, again, you got to be able to remember this, moments within MCOC?
So I think the worst is when I passed out on stream.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh.
Yeah.
because you had drank too much?
For a brief period. And my highest is, I don't know, somehow being able to do fights.
just like a basic arena fight feels like you've won the lottery.
No, I did some of Act 6.
Oh, while highly intoxicated.
Yeah, off stream.
Probably smart for it to be off stream, but that's good information. Wow. That's a great answer to the question. By the way, Jose George M also wants to say again, please tell her we will miss the champions in 6 minutes or less videos. We already asked her about her favorite year playing MCOC, so some of these questions, they repeat. Now, Ho Thomas, or I don't know, how would you pronounce H-U-W?
H-U-W?
Yeah. Is that who?
Hugh?
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 Mr. Thomas. He wants us to kind of transition to, I think, what a lot of people are maybe most interested with in this interview, because 99.9% of players don't have access to the CCP.
Right.
In fact, Katy Candy told me years ago that she dared me to apply. And I said, no, this is a horrible idea. They're going to reject me immediately. It's a waste of everybody's time. And she was like, oh, just do it. So I did. I was right. I got rejected. But when they said why, I actually was like, well, can you give some examples? And then they never responded. You know, it was like asking somebody out, them saying, I'm busy, and being like, well, are you free in a month? Ghosted. So, Mr. Thomas says, are you willing to be more specific about the problems you mentioned with the CCP, or even just the culture that exists that might need to be improved upon? Again, we're not naming names. We don't slander on this channel. We're not looking to put other people down to get clicks. That's not how we work. But I do think for people who maybe even want to join the CCP sometimes soon, some people might be hesitant now because they watched your video and think, oh, there's some problems that need to be fixed that clearly Katy had a right to speak about.
So the main issue that I had with it was there were very few of us speaking for low to mid-level players. And, you know, when we would say something about, you know, maybe cav difficulty not being tuned right? Because here's the thing is cav difficulty is supposed to be tuned towards mid-level players, those early to mid-level Cavalier players who are working to progressing. Good job, Kate. To get Thronebreaker. So that's what that content is geared towards. So, you know, when we would say these nodes don't make any sense, right? Where you have like a book to read for these node interactions for the different tag champions, what have you, and then, you know, it doesn't work, and then, you know, we would bring that up and we would instantly be slammed with, well, you don't have to use those tag champions, which is true. But if you don't have to use those tag champions, or you aren't going to reap the benefits from it, then what is the point of having that tag champion be the one that gets the benefit? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Or I would say something, or one of us would say something about, you know, something being maybe potentially a little bit too difficult, like variant 8, for example. The variants were not tuned at this point in the game. Now, variant 1, when it was first introduced, was geared towards endgame players. So I'm going to leave that one out. But the variants in the beginning, or not in the beginning, excuse me, now are tuned towards those who, you know, are looking to build their roster, who are Cavalier, or, you know, working to get Cavalier, that sort of thing. So when you have something come out like variant 8, when it was initially introduced, I had a lot of problems with that. In fact, I never even completed variant 8, and I was a huge proponent of the variants. I absolutely loved them. I thought they were great pieces of content until that one. And I had a big issue with it. And then you would have people in the CCP who are like, well, you know, it's not that hard, But I'm not talking about endgame players with that certain amount of skill, right? I'm talking about mid-level players, again, who may not have that amount of skill that you do. So when you're getting out-voiced by things like that, it's really difficult to, you know, want to keep talking. But we still did. I mean, we would just get overshadowed, which was really unfortunate, because maybe we didn't talk enough, or we weren't the loudest in it. And it's really unfortunate that it's like that.
So 2 takeaways from what you just said. Is it fair to say then that they could do a better job of receiving more constructive criticism, and on top of that, thinking about that middle tier player instead of just how the in-game player will complete content?
Honestly, what I think they need to do is have more mid-level players in the CCP.
Great.
Stop bringing in end-game players. End-game players are great for, you know, testing out new champions, right? Because they're they can get a handle on them really easily, right? Well, some of them are really complicated, but most of the people in the CCP, well, in fact, all of the people in the CCP can get a handle on using the new champions, I just wish that they're on, just going to do a little tangent off to the side real quick about that, is they need more time in the CCP to test out champions. But they also need, so back to my main point, is they need to bring in more mid-level players into the content creator program, because otherwise they're not going to have that voice that they need, because the people that are in there are being drowned out, unfortunately.
So I do this with my students sometimes. I'm going to do this with you. You said earlier you weren't sure what you would do if you were Kabam CEO for an hour or a day, but you just gave us a great answer to that, which is if you were Kabam CEO for an hour or a day, you would bring in more middle-tier players to add more of a diversity of voices to that program.
You're right.
Look at this. We're workshopping.
I like it.
Okay, next drama question. I've flagged different questions for different categories on this page.
Oh, boy.
Redwood wants to know, do you really believe that the first Summoner's Choice voting in 2020 was rigged for Hercules to beat out the other champions?
No. But I do think that certain people were pushing harder for it, and maybe that's why it happened.
Now, Nat McGee, kind of very much a softball shift to that, wants to know, and I'm always curious about this too, even though I have an idea because of Incursions. Who's your favorite champion? Like, if you could only use one champion, who would it be? And then, what's the most fun you ever had completing content and or an event?
Obviously, Emma. I love Emma. I think a lot of people sleep on Emma. She can take a hit in diamond form. She has power control in diamond form. She has immunities in diamond form. When she has the prowess in telepath form, she can really dish out the damage. She can stop evaders. If you bring Mysterio with her, she's immune to inverse controls. So she's got a lot of utility that people kind of forget about.
And she's great for cosplay, right?
She's great for cosplay, yes.
So Shark Puppet asked the same question, but he asked a second question, which I think is pretty interesting. Along with everything we've talked about, if you could be Kabam CEO, this is also part of that same question, and let's just pretend next month we could make it happen. Who would you bring into the game?
If I could bring anyone into the game?
Yep, you're the Kabam CEO. Your choice.
I would obviously bring in Dracula.
Okay.
And he would be an OP mystic with great regen, crazy bleeds. Well, he would have, it would be lifesteal, actually. I should clarify. And immortality, and he could also grant that as a synergy member to his teammates. And he could have a banging synergy with Elsa.
Internet phrases.
A
banging synergy with Elsa. I think that one would just be called Frosted Tips.
Frosted Tips. And then, who else would I bring? I never really think of a second one, and there's so many good
you've talked to me
comic book characters.
A few times you talked to me about Mystique.
I wouldn't bring Mystique, and here's why I would not bring Mystique to the game. Okay. Is Mystique cannot copy powers. She can only copy physical form. So she would just be kind of a mutant assassin. So she wouldn't be all that great. I mean, she could be, but I don't think she would be worth it to bring to the game.
Okay. Keep workshopping this. While you're thinking, we can move on to a different question.
Okay. There's just so many.
Now, Roy, one of your 3 questions we already named. He asked a pretty good question.
Oh, Dazzler. Sorry.
No, you're good. Dazzler. There we go. And feel free to interrupt me or yourself if you keep thinking of different ideas. So Roy wants to know, what can male gamers do to be better allies?
Don't be jerks.
And if I can add something, because this is a big problem with a lot of people, don't think with the wrong head.
Yes. Yes. Listen, not every girl wants to sleep with you. So,
and I'll just say, I've noticed, sorry to interrupt, but I've noticed that people, I think it's, so many people watch so much porn that they just carry that casualness about sex and in general flirting into conversation spheres because they're anonymous in a way where they don't respect even some traditional boundaries, right?
Right.
So what were you gonna say?
Oh yeah, no, just be nice. Don't be jerks. You know, just be like that guy that, you know, be that friend, right?
Be the friend you'd want to have.
Yeah.
Now, Roy's final question, and Brandon Gavin asked the same thing. What other games do you play?
So I play a lot of Apex Legends. I am actually the leader of a clan. I don't know how this happened. But our name is Sweaty Trash, and our tag is 0 damage. But I play pretty much every night. I stream it every so often over on Twitch, and I play with Alpha06, Burnsy, Fark. I'm actually playing tonight with Jabari of Jason and Jabari. They do Jason, or J-Will plays MCOC. And Jabari, I think he does MCOC too, but he does a bunch of other games as well. And then I've started playing the new Halo, and I do a different co-op game, you know, Fridays. So I'm doing Journey to the Savage Planet right now with the Mandalorian, and it's so much fun. It's so brightly colored. It's fantastic. It's great. It's such a fun game.
Well, there you go. By the way, Sweaty Trash sounds to me like a stripper in Mississippi. That's my first thought.
I never thought of that.
There you go. Share that with the clan.
I am definitely going to do that. I will put it in our chat.
Bluester Guy has a ton of comments. Let's see if we can get through them first. Katie, thank you for being that person who faithfully represented those who like the game and did not take competition to the extreme. Thank you for detailed videos and many hours of real talk that matter to those who are playing and played or thinking about playing MCOC. You were featured with Brian, different other content creators. And so just a lot of people who value you once again. Now on to the questions. Are you at a place in life where peace comes easier?
I
think that's an assumption since you've backed away from MCOC.
Yeah, we'll go with yes.
What advice would you give to alliance leaders of an MCOC alliance who strive for all members to have some kind of balance?
If you want your members to have balance, then you already realize that people have lives outside of the game, right? So whether that be maybe not running map 8, maybe running map 7, map 6, map 5, whatever, maybe only doing one BG war, you know, something along those lines. Just that's you understanding and you know, not pushing top AQ. That's you understanding that there is life outside the game and the game isn't everything. So you're already one step there.
There you go. And he concluded by saying, "You're missed, you matter, and we hope you are working on your happiness." Sounds like a great fortune cookie too. So thank you.
That sounds like an amazing fortune cookie. Can he write my fortunes?
Bluester,
but that was so sweet. Thank you.
Yes. So this is a different kind of question, which I think is fascinating because you hear all the time people say, well, the reason why I don't want to leave MCOC, or I don't even want to slow down chasing the carrot, as you so eloquently said, is because they've invested so much money into the game that they don't want to feel like they're not getting their money's worth. So with that being said, since you stepped back, do you regret spending any money on the game? This question comes from Zarin.
You know, I thought about that long and hard when I was like, I'm done with this game. Because I was like, I've spent a decent amount of money in this game. I was by no means a whale, but I was probably like a shark or a dolphin.
Okay.
You know? But that was kind of a big factor and maybe why I stayed longer than I would have liked. Because I did invest so much time and so much money. I think more or less time. Like I look back at a lot of the, you know, staying up for grinding a champion, right? So grinding for a champion, not grinding a champion. Oh my God. Grinding for a champion. But yeah, like I think that's maybe why I stayed a little bit longer than I probably should have.
So you don't regret spending on the game, but if you knew then what you knew now, there might be a few points where maybe you wouldn't have spent as much.
Yeah. Like I probably wouldn't have, whaled out completely on all of the offers. What was it, like, not this past Cyber Weekend, but the Cyber Weekend before that, or the 4th of July before that. So, yeah.
So a lot of the questions that I'm looking at now, we've kind of answered about why the CCP was so toxic. By the way, if you somehow missed that part, she said 2 really good suggestions for them to be able to learn to take constructive criticism more by bringing in not just in-game players, but those middle-tier players, and giving them a voice that's equal to people who basically can just clear all content or already have cleared all content. So that has been answered. But here is a different kind of question that similarly touches on that subject. Double R says, what do you think is the main reason for the disconnect between Kabam and its player base?
I think that has a lot to do with Kabam.
How so?
There's always disconnects between games and the player base, right? But there's no real, the forums are not a good place for people to give input. It's really not. What Kabam should really do is set up a Discord server, and you have easier ways to moderate in a Discord server. You have easier ways to present information in a Discord server. So I really think that in order for there to be better communication between Kabam and the player base, is there needs to be either the forums need to be revamped, or they need to step away from the forums and go to something like Discord or something along those lines. Actually, no, just go to Discord. Because I think that would be tremendously helpful for all involved. It may be a little bit chaotic at first, but I think in the long run, it would be for the best.
You just gave another great answer about if Katy was Kabam CEO. I'm just pulling it out of you.
You really are.
I mean, this is great, though. And I think all of those suggestions are fantastic, because problems are only problems until there are solutions, and these are real thought-provoked solutions. So, speaking of thought-provoked, we have a lot of people who have commented, including, I'm just going to spell it because I have no idea how to pronounce it, FRUIFGH142, who are free-to-play players and are really discouraged after the gifting event. So what would you say? What would your message be to current free-to-play players in the state of the game as it stands right now?
Get ready to be behind. Just accept it.
Wow. Okay.
It's a hard pill to swallow, so to speak. But if you're free to play, you really need to grind it out. You need to grind it out like BG, and who's even taken a step back, because there's no real way for a free-to-play player to catch up to a pay-to-win.
So
now,
in summary, it's never been more pay-to-win than it is right now.
Correct.
There you go. 3 side comments, all little inside jokes, almost back to back to back. Jay Shine / Time to Shine says, "Come back, Katy, I miss you," basically. So that's a message. Then Chris Brown wants to know if you're going to do your Gibraltar cosplay.
As soon as he does his Loba cosplay.
Boom. No hesitation. And then Droker says, "Why do you enjoy running over your own teammates in Halo?"
Revenge!
Boom. It's so fascinating that those comments were so close.
Those are, Droker and Chris Brown, I play Apex and Halo with, and Droker was on my team, and I may have run him over.
Maybe.
But to be fair, he ran me over first, like 4 games prior to that, right out of spawn. So, revenge.
I don't know how many people were thrown under the bus in that comment, but I think you both ran each other over in the history 100%. Of this. 100%. So 713 Avani says, "No question. They'll just miss you and your content." Royal Red, I think it's safe to say, because a lot of people continue to ask this question, the final straw that made you decide you were done, the gifting event, showed you just how much the game has changed in terms of spending. Now, you are having a hard time coming up with new champions earlier when I asked you the question, but Big Haas has given you a little bit of a clue because he wants to know what your current opinion stands on the champion Hell Cow.
Listen, Big Haas, we've talked about this. No Hell Cow before Dracula.
Okay.
After Dracula, then yeah, Hell Cow. That's allowed.
I don't know if I should ask this question, but there's a Steelers logo by the name, and so I feel compelled to, because 39 PSI Boost just wants to know, does the guac cost extra?
I don't know how to respond to that, but I'm going to go with yes.
Unfortunately, in life. Brian Nemiak wants to know, will Kevin Smith do another outro for you?
I don't know. Maybe. I'll have to wait and see.
Okay. By the way, a wild Nimishi says, why is your laugh like sunshine on a rainy day?
Because too much time is spent being mopey. You got to have a good laugh. And
Amen.
if you can't laugh at yourself, and I always laugh at myself, like right now.
It's wonderful. And it's why people tune in. Sinful Greed, burgers or pizza? You only choose one.
Oh gosh. What if I can't choose?
I know.
It depends. Like, sometimes you just want like a burger and sometimes you just want pizza.
I know. But if you only have one.
Wait, I have the best solution.
Let me guess. Cheeseburger pizza?
Yes.
I saw that coming a mile away. So many people, including MM9091 and another summoner, I'm trying to find exactly who, asked about IPAs/beer recommendations. So I got to ask that question. Yeah.
So I don't drink IPAs.
Okay.
They're too hoppy for my liking. I am a porter and stout girl with a hint of when I want to be super basic and I'll drink a Gose. Or a goes. But my favorite is it's actually a blonde stout by by Legal Remedy, and it's a South Carolina brewery from Rock Hill, and it is so good.
So would you say, as MM9091 asks, is that your go-to beer on game day?
Actually, no.
Oh.
My go-to beer on game day is Dos Equis Amber.
Wow. Okay, there you have it. And none of these were sponsors of the channel yet.
Hit me up. Like I'm saying, local breweries, come on.
I wanted to jump right into your questions, and so this interview's been a little bit out of order in terms of how I would traditionally do a journalistic style interview. But this is a really good question from Tan7862. Thinking back all the way to the beginning of your MCOC experience, when and why did you start playing the game, and what made you keep playing it?
So, some of you already know this. I was dating a guy at the time, and we saw a commercial for it. He was like, hey, you like video games and you like Marvel, you should play that. And I was like, no, like that's stupid. It's a mobile game. And he was like, you should play it. And I was like, all right, I'll give it a whirl. So that's how I started playing it. And he started playing it and the game survived and the relationship didn't.
The irony is that I downloaded the game because I had broken off an engagement and needed something to put my free time with. And so we're still here.
Yep. Well, you're still.
Yeah, that's very true. Justin wants to know, were you able to pay some of your bills with the YouTube money, or did you always have to count on your other job to do it?
So I always counted on my other job to do it. I'm an environmental engineer. The YouTube money went to my new computer, the microphone, the desk, and that sort of thing. All the money I ever made from YouTube went back into helping me, make better content.
Amen to that. So, I think we have to address the elephant in the room right now. Because one of the many, many questions that have been asked on this forum is some version, as Justin Sharp has asked, when are we getting married? Or how do you feel that so many people have wanted us to get together since we met 4 years ago?
You know, we really should have like started collecting money every time someone.
We should have done an Amazon wish list, like a registry.
Oh my god, we should have. That would have been the ultimate troll.
Yeah.
Guys, I know it's crazy, but a guy and a girl can actually just be friends.
Good friends. And hey, here's the thing about being good friends is if you never make it romantic, then it never has to end.
Exactly.
You know, that's you might think that it's a good idea to be in love with your best friend, but once you step into that romance end, they're not going to be your best friend if things go south.
Nope, it just gets messy.
And I live in Oklahoma where things already are plenty south. So, a lot of people want to know, and again, I can say this with certainty. I've known you for what, over 4 years, 5 years?
Oh my gosh, I feel like I think 4 or 5. I don't even know.
I can't imagine my life before her. So I haven't even counted it. But why the name Katy Candy? And I know the answer to this question, but and is it actually your real name? Did your mom name you Katy Candy out of the womb?
My actual name is not Katy Candy. You don't get to know my actual name.
Which, by the way,
my first
know.
Name. What's that?
I don't know her real name either. I'm friends with her. I have her phone number. I don't know her real name, and I don't care about it. I think it's so awesome that you've been able to protect that part of you in privacy, because as a journalism professor who's always had his page online, I will never get to do that. Plus, my first YouTube link was youtube.com/Shane Hoffman, so that was
that kind of muddled it.
Brilliant idea for privacy.
But I just my actual name is Katy, and I like candy, and so I was like, why not?
Speaking of candy and being salty, Terrible Person wants to know, how much did the video I made, Katy Candy is salty about Prof. Hoff's luck, contribute to you quitting the game?
0.
I figured. So here's 2 really important questions. The Exit wants to know, since you are retiring from MCOC, are you going to retire the voodoo doll?
No.
If you don't know the backstory, Katy got my line information or something. I don't know how you got to me, but basically we became friends because she messaged me with a request for me to be stabbed in a video.
I was so surprised that you agreed to do it. I mean, I was like so excited.
She was basically like, hey, I watch your channel. I like some of your videos. And could I stab you? Could you like pretend to be stabbed for a skit? Which does remind me, one of the questions we need to ask as we're starting to wind down is, when Kabam initially accepted or was tentatively accepting your CCP application, were there certain videos, especially your Kabam SNL style skits that were quite critical of the company at times, that they were uncomfortable with you having on your channel if you were going to be a part of the CCP going forward?
No, but there's some stuff that I'm just gonna. But I just put out more content. I'll say that.
Okay, that is both not a yes or a no. The BK wants to know, what's your favorite MCU movie?
Oh my gosh, MCU movie, like now.
Like from Iron Man 1 to present.
Oh, From Iron Man 1 to present. I gotta say, I really liked No Way Home.
Very recent, but also highly received.
Yeah.
By the way,
But my all-time favorite Marvel movie, Blade.
Oh, the OG.
The OG.
The true. That was late 90s, right?
Yeah.
By the way, the man Moses was the guy who wanted to know about having pressure to take down your old stuff before joining the CCP. So he gets credit for that. Mama Bear also wanted me to prepare for the giggles. That was it. Just
I feel like you're always prepared for the giggles. Just
yes.
like a Luke Cage uppercut.
Oh. I thought we were going to go a full hour without, if you don't know the backstory. I have no excuse about this. There was no bug in Incursions. I just was reading comments and thinking I had the game won. And I looked away for a second. Luke Cage charged up the old heavy and punched me through a wall and knocked me out. And instantly she laughed so hard, I thought she was going to pass out. And then, you know what she does, because she's such a great friend? She says, I'm going to immediately clip that and save it forever. That's a true friend right there. True friend. Oh my gosh. So, as we're winding down in our last 5 minutes, something that I personally wanted to ask for you to talk about is, because I know we've talked about how when you start on YouTube, you never think you're going to have a successful channel, right?
Right.
There are a lot of people out there who someday dream of having a YouTube channel with the following that you have. What advice would you give to people who want to start their own channel? It doesn't have to be an MCOC channel. It can be a cooking channel. It can be any channel. How would you get them to start off?
Number one is be you. And find a niche that works for you. Mine just happened to be like a little bit of comedy with a little bit of sass and a little bit of booze.
That needs to be like a home sign as you walk in.
I know,
Comedy,
right?
sass, booze. Check, check, check.
Next thing I can tell you is don't watch your views and your subs or your followers, depending on what platform you're on, like just don't stare at them, because it's going to drive you crazy. Don't pay attention to likes versus dislikes, even though I guess the dislike button is kind of gone now. But just remember that any like, any comment on a video is engagement, and that's what you want. You want to have something that separates you from other people in whatever it is that you're doing, because you want to stand out. So that's the best thing that I can probably say. And it'll happen. It'll grow, but you need to want to be able to put in the work and the time. And when I first started doing this, I was, I work full time. So I would work, I would come home, let the dog out, eat dinner, try to think of something for a video, maybe record some footage, do a live stream, and then get to working on that video to have it go out the next day. So I was running on like 2 to 3 hours of sleep a night when I first started. I don't recommend that. But if you put in the time and the work, you'll get there.
And in that spirit, because I just want to comment on this too, you're going to be cringeworthy at first. Everybody is, right?
Oh, I was so cringeworthy.
You're going to look back and be like, what am I doing? And I tell my students this because they go off and they work in Market 300 before they want to work in New York City. You want to suck at first while no one's watching, because then as your channel gets popular and gains viewership, you want to be able to engage. But for me, I definitely, just like my puns, right? My life motto is quantity over quality. Yeah. And it's all about giving people a reason to tune in and responding to people who take the time to reach out to you. Treat every member of your community as important. I think that's why people love your channel so much, because you've never acted like you're too good to respond to anybody. People don't have to donate for you to say their name, and you generally try to bring a smile to people's faces, and that's why you've been so successful.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I like what you, and Prof and I have talked, outside of the game, and like what you see from me on YouTube or on Twitch is how I am. So like I still have people asking me questions about MCOC, and I'm still answering them. Now as time progresses in the game, I'm going to be like, I don't know what you're talking about. But I'll still help you if you need it. I remember a lot of people would message me and then they'd be like, oh my God, you answered. And I was like, well, yeah, you messaged me. except online. I was terrible. I was terrible at responding online.
So as we've reached our hour, good news is she is still playing one part of the content of the game because she still has committed to being my Battle Realm bestie.
Yes.
On most Sunday nights. So she'll
except
still
tonight.
Be around, except for tonight and last week. And so she still will have some YouTube presence. And on top of that, she's still playing other games. Are you still doing your Twitch streams?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm actually doing a Twitch stream tonight at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
And if they look up you on Twitch, just Katy Candy, they'll be able to find you?
Katy__Candy. Yeah.
2 underscores. Okay.
2 underscores.
Wonderful. Well, I just want to say you are one of the main reasons why I'm so thankful I downloaded the game. And I am honored that you gave me an hour of your time, that you gave this channel an hour of your time. We got over 70 of the questions asked, and the 30 we didn't were actually just the same question or some form of the same question. So this was pretty amazing. I actually think we got more questions answered from you than the first 2 guests.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Now, Katy, if you'd like somebody to be on this, let me know. If you've got especially a connection that you think I could maybe talk to somebody. I know, of course, Dork Lessons is the #1 request, but ever since he started working from Kabam, I almost feel like there's like a silence order that prevents him from giving any full truth. And then Seaton would be fun, but I don't even know how I think Rich the Man would be fun to interview too. That would be.
Rich is great. I hung out with Rich at NYCC, and I was there when he had his first Jello shot. So.
Oh. Well, and no matter what you got in your pocket, the conversation's always going to be rich.
That's right.
Well, thank you again to Katy Candy. We've reached over an hour, so we're going to end this here. Who would you like me to interview next? Please give Katy her flowers and additional feedback in the comments below. She truly deserves it. And thank you to everybody for keeping the comments respectful. It's always a risk when you say, what should I ask? A guy should ask a girl, but we were both blown away by just how nice people were.
Yeah, I was truly touched by everyone's really kind words. Like, you guys are awesome.
Go MCOC community. Have a good one.